Trump once said, "Keep wealth in America." It was more than just a slogan. It was a philosophy. Protect national resources, jobs, and industries from being drained by foreign powers. But while Americans debated trade deficits and overseas factories far away in West Africa, a young leader took that very idea to an extreme level. His name? Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. And unlike many leaders before him, he wasn't just talking. He was literally locking Africa's gold inside. Africa! Yes, you heard that right. In a world where developing nations have been systematically stripped of their natural resources, gold, oil, rare minerals, Traoré stood up and declared, "No more." He decided that Africa's gold, Africa's diamonds, Africa's uranium should not end up enriching Paris, London, or Washington, while his own people lived in poverty. Burkina Faso, a small, landlocked nation, has some of the richest gold mines on the planet. Yet, despite exporting billions of dollars worth of gold every year, ordinary citizens struggled with poor roads, failing electricity, and schools without chalk. Why? Because foreign corporations controlled the mines. Foreign banks took the Swachintur. Profits and local governments remained powerless middlemen. For decades, France in particular benefited. Under the old colonial agreements, African gold and currency reserves were held in European banks. That meant the real wealth never stayed in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. It went straight to Paris. This is exactly the kind of system Trump used to complain about in America. He would say, "We build their cars, we defend their countries, but we don't get anything back." Now imagine that, but multiplied 100 times for Africa. When Ibrahim Traoré took power in 2022, he was only in his 30s, the youngest president in the world. People called him reckless, inexperienced, even dangerous. But what he did shocked both Africa and the West. He told the French companies, "You cannot just take our gold for pennies while our children starve." He nationalized parts of the mining sector. He forced renegotiations of contracts. And most importantly, he created laws that required gold reserves to remain inside Burkina Faso. Think about that for a second. Instead of shipping bullion to foreign vaults, the gold now stays in African vaults, backing African banks, empowering African currency. It was the same spirit as Trump's America First, except this time it was Africa First. Suddenly, the billions that used to disappear abroad were visible in Burkina Faso's economy. The government invested in roads, new housing, and health care. Farmers received subsidies to buy seeds and equipment. And for the first time in decades, young men who once dreamed only of migrating to Europe began to see opportunities in their own country. Traoré also made another daring promise. If Burkina Faso controls its own gold, then African youth will not need to die in the Mediterranean. Trying to reach Europe, they can build their lives at home. This was revolutionary. In the West, leaders talk about immigration crises and border control. Traoré was attacking the root cause, why people leave in the first place. But of course, not everyone was happy. France was furious. Western media labeled Traoré a dictator, a military strongman, and a radical nationalist. Sound familiar? That's the same language used against Trump whenever he challenged global trade rules. Yet across Africa, Traoré became a hero. From Mali to Niger to Guinea, leaders started echoing his message. If gold belongs to Africans, it should stay in Africa. It was a domino effect. Regional alliances began forming, pushing French troops out and rejecting foreign economic control. Now, here's what Americans need to understand. Gold is not just jewelry. It is power. It is the foundation of global finance. The U.S. dollar itself became strong after World War II because it was tied to gold. Later, even when the gold standard ended, America kept the largest gold reserves in the world, over 8,000 tons, sitting safely in Fort Knox. Burkina Faso, on the other hand, had gold but no control. Until Traoré flipped the script. By keeping gold in Africa, he wasn't just changing his economy, he was challenging the entire global financial order. Imagine if one small African nation could inspire dozens more to hold on to their gold, oil, and resources. That's not just local change, that's a shift in world power. For Traoré, it's not only about wealth, it's about dignity. He often says, "A country without control of its resources is not independent." And that's the truth. He envisions African banks backed by African gold, African industries fueled by African minerals, and African armies funded not by foreign aid, but by their own national wealth. It is a dream of self-reliance. And whether the West admits it or not, it echoes the same principles that once made America great: independence, sovereignty, and economic nationalism. So why should Americans care about a young African leader keeping gold in Africa? Because it reminds us of something we often forget. Wealth is power only if you control it. For decades, the U.S. outsourced factories, outsourced jobs, and let corporations chase cheap labor overseas. Trump's message was, "Bring it back. Keep wealth in America." Traoré's message is identical, just tailored to his continent. Keep wealth in Africa. And while America debates tariffs and trade wars, Traoré is risking his life to make sure Africa doesn't remain a beggar, sitting on a mountain of treasure. Today, Burkina Faso stands at a crossroads. It is poor, it is struggling, and it is under pressure from powerful enemies. But it has something it never had before: control of its gold. And that changes everything. Maybe Trump was right. A nation that gives away its wealth has no future. And maybe Ibrahim Traoré is proving that truth. Not in Washington, not in Wall Street, but in the red soil of Africa. Because when a leader dares to say, "Our wealth stays with our people," that's when history shifts. And that is exactly what's happening right now in Africa.